So you broke your Windows 10, hopefully as a hypothetical, because if you did it for real, this will probably get very time consuming, very complicated, and you might actually have to pay Micro Center $50 or more for a very simple recovery. The reason I say that is because if you're here out of curiosity, you still have the use of your own computer, which is going to be very convenient when we set up. You can still do these steps if you have like school computers, or if you can get to a library, they usually have computers. Or if you ask a friend, maybe you have a laptop laying around. But the other thing that you need is an empty flash drive. The first thing I want you to do is grab Linux Mint. Now I know what you're thinking, but I don't want to install Linux. That's not what we're doing. Now we can do these things with any Linux distro, but I picked this one because it's very comfortable and very convenient. So you're literally going to go through and do exactly what they tell you. You're going to click download, you're going to click on Cinnamon here, you're going to find an organization down here that you trust. There's a lot of universities. There's also kernel.org, people in the know, they really trust it, but you probably don't know a whole lot about them, so it's okay if you don't really trust them, you don't click it. So let's go ahead and find UC Berkeley, and you're going to see I already have a copy, but you just open it up and you click download and it downloads. The other thing you're going to need is Balena Etcher. Now there are some very important reasons that Rufus is recommended over Etcher. The only thing is, if a GUI is rocket science to me, that's bad news for you. So you're going to say download Etcher because you don't really have an alternative, and you're going to find the Windows one because you're running Windows, and you're just going to say download. So once you have Etcher installed on your computer, it's time to put in your blank flash drive. So your flash drive is inserted, Etcher is installed, and Mint is downloaded. We're going to go ahead and click on Etcher. We're going to open it on the correct screen. Here we will say flash from file. We will go to our downloads, if I can find them, and we will pick our Linux Mint. And over here we click change and we select the drive that we're using. Even if it auto selects, do this every time because better safe than sorry. And then we say flash. There we go. I hope that didn't do anything too horrible. So now we sit for a hot minute because cheap drives are very slow and we're writing 3 gigabytes to it, so we have to wait. It's ready. So let me move over to a different arrangement to show you what we're doing with this flash drive. Here we are in a virtual machine, which I'm only using because I want to show you the steps where you turn on and turn off your computer. Obviously there's nothing wrong with this VM, but we are going to pretend that this VM cannot boot. We mangled it somehow, so now we have to recover it somehow. Microsoft's recommendation is that we use the recovery tool, which is bundled with their installer. But if you've had any experience with that recovery tool, you know that 95 times out of 100, it does nothing. So what we probably need to do is recover the files by hand and probably do a clean install. Okay, so here's the hardware setup. I have the USB drive that I just burned, and I have that Windows disk that contains that Windows 10 virtual machine. We're going to go ahead and boot this up, and this is going to be the equivalent of mashing F12 a whole bunch of times on your computer. So we're going to go ahead and do it, blah blah blah. You get the menu, hopefully, if it's correct, hopefully. Please. Here we are. I finally made it do it. From here, in order to get to a little bit more of a familiar screen for you, I have to use my arrow keys to go down to Boot Manager, and I have to press Enter to select that. And so from here, I just arrow down with my arrow keys until I select the one that says USB. It can be named all kinds of things, but one thing that it will always have in common is it will say USB. So now we're going to press Enter to select the entry labeled USB, and we're going to need to wait a while. So this is a different type of boot menu that you're probably not used to. You have 2 choices here that you should be paying attention to. This top one, which is just Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon, that one is for if you have a graphics card. If you don't have a graphics card, you're going to pick this second one. By the way, if you're not sure, you can always pick compatibility mode, and that will work on everything. So now we're going to press Enter, and this is the part that's going to take a really long time. Because the reason is, it's coming off of that really slow drive, and it's taking all that data there, and it's putting it onto RAM, where it's able to use it. The screen may even go completely black. Don't worry about it. As long as it doesn't crash out, it's fine. Usually when you see this screen, people are going to tell you, go up in the upper left hand corner and install Linux Mint immediately. You have to wipe out all your files now. but we're not doing that. What we'll do instead is we will go to the lower left. We will find this little file folder. That's our file manager. We will click it. We will go on the left-hand menu. We will find our devices, and there is our window. Before you go any further, you actually need a second USB. So that means you're going to have two. One is for your Linux Mint, and the other one is going to be your actual data drive that you're going to back things up on. If your USB is big enough, you can actually take all of these folders and you can just dump them right on the USB. I know that there's also this option over here that says you can compress this into an archive, but that does not actually work here. That only works on the full install of Linux Mint for some reason. I don't know why it doesn't really want to do what it's supposed to be able to do. The other thing we could do is take this users folder. Now this users folder contains all your videos, all your documents, all your data, everything that you have. All of your files live inside of here. So you could just take this, drop it into the USB drive if you have space. If you still don't have enough space for that, you can go into your users folder, you can find the name of your user, and then you can have fun. And by the way, anything that you don't find inside of here, you're going to find it inside of one of these. So now I'm going to do my backup. You'll notice something. It's going to say something about symlinks. We're going to tell it to skip all of those. And the reason that we tell it to skip all of those is because we're trying to back up the data, and symlinks are more of a quality of life thing. They're not important. And now we do the waiting game. By the way, I want to call your attention to the lower left. You see that we have a web browser, so you can actually browse the web in this rudimentary desktop that you have. If you open up this menu over here, we have our office suite, we have all our stuff and things, and oh, actually, celluloid is probably the best. What was that called? It's the best video player that you will ever see. And that really does it for the scope of this video. We talked about how to source a backup desktop and how to get into something when your main system won't boot. And we talked about how to be extremely dangerous to your own data integrity. I will see you in the next one when we talk about how to turn wrench in your broken Windows system.